The anime begins with a meeting between the school principal and the new teacher, Nueno, upon his joining the school. There, the principal shares some information about the place, explaining that it is called the Spirit Gathering, and that all the students have been harmed by evil spirits. Prompted by this disturbing information, Nueno starts investigating and searches the whole city using his special crystal. He discovers that this town emits a spiritual magnetic field, and after visiting many places, he confirms the presence of a magnetic field different from what's found in nature. This field occurs when the balance maintained by circulating yin and yang, energy collapses, attracting spiritual energy and creating a spiritual magnetic field. He realizes this might explain the frequent supernatural sightings, and believes that, in time, the town will enter twilight after a near destruction from the spirit realm. During his investigation, suspicious figures approach and attack him, confirming his theory about the danger of the place. Meanwhile, the school is bustling with students heading inside for their classes. Inside the principal's office, he's fully confident in appointing Nueno since he's the only one in Japan with psychic powers, certain that he can look after and protect the children of this generation. Nueno assures him that the kids will be in safe hands. In the class that Nueno will be teaching, the student Katsuya is using his phone while his friend Makoto warns him not to, so he won't anger the new teacher. Katsuya pays no attention. When Katsuya sees his friend Hiroshi, he notices Hiroshi is ignoring everyone and acting strangely, preventing him from calling out to him because of an ongoing dispute. At this point, Kyoko steps in and goes over to Hiroshi, asking why he's changed so much and started ignoring everyone. She assumes it's because he wants his new classmates to see him as serious. Hiroshi turns his face away, annoying Kyoko, so she asks him to greet everyone since they share a class. But he ignores her, causing her to get mad and shout at him. To break the tension, Katsuya jumps in and changes the subject by asking Kyoko about the new teacher. She tells them she's seen him, that he doesn't look bad, that she knows him well because he lived in her neighborhood, and that he's nice and has mysterious powers. The students are surprised by his mysterious powers, but Kyoko says it's a mystery and that he once used his power to drive out spirits, which surprises Hiroshi while the others think Kyoko is making it up. Suddenly, they hear a strange sound coming closer, grabbing everyone's attention, and the lights in the hallway go out completely. At that moment, Nueno is on his way to his classroom, playing creepy music, which scares the students even more when they hear it and see him approaching. When he enters the class and appears before them, their fear increases, but as the creepy music stops and is replaced by some silly music, Nueno feels extremely embarrassed. While walking further inside, his special staff breaks, annoying him. Despite this awkward start, Nueno introduces himself, telling them he'll be their new teacher. Miki then raises her hand to ask a question, and after he agrees, she says she wants to see his exercising power because she's heard he has one. With great anticipation, Nueno looks at the principal's photo, hesitating, but reminding himself he needs to earn his students' trust. So he shows them some strange things, lies a few talismans on the principal's photo, and sprinkles salt on it. Miki asks Kyoko if this is really his power, but Kyoko is now unsure. At this point, the teacher Ritsuko shows up, steps up to Nueno, and asks what's going on. Nueno feels embarrassed, but moves closer to Herend, sees she's being followed by many ghosts. Thinking she might have the ability of a sutra canon medium, he offers her the spell book, which makes Ritsuko angry. She hits him, knocking the book to the floor, and scolds him for her hatred of anything supernatural, storming off. Nueno tries in vain to get her to wait, but fails. In this critical moment, Hiroshi picks the book up off the ground, his eyes gleam, and he remembers a painful incident when his father was harmed by an evil sorcerer. Angrily, he yells at Nueno to stop and not to mock them just because they're kids, throwing the book violently to the ground. Kyoko desperately tries to explain to Hiroshi that Nueno is a real exorcist, but Nueno approaches Hiroshi, unable to believe what just happened, telling him that whether he believes it or not, they're in the same class. As he's about to comfort Hiroshi by a gesture, Hiroshi imagines him as evil, pushes his hand away, and punches him, though Nueno isn't affected at all. Thankfully, Kyoko intervenes just in time and pulls Hiroshi back into class, leaving the other students shocked and surprised by Hiroshi's behavior. Later, in the principal's office, the principal asks Nueno about his first day. Nueno thinks the students are good kids, but the principal senses something is bothering him. Nueno explains that spirits and yokai don't always cause harm, and he can't just go recklessly exercising everything. He'll think about what to do after building trust with his students. The principal agrees and leaves him to it, asking him also to protect the school's students, and Nueno promises he will. In the courtyard, Hiroshi is practicing in a match with his friends, feeling angry after their teasing, and hits one of his friends hard, pushing him away. Afterwards, Hiroshi is filled with regret over what he did. At Damori Hospital, Hiroshi makes an emotional visit to his sick father and apologizes, but his father gently tells him not to worry, that he's getting better. As Dr. Tamamo says he's leaving and asks Hiroshi to take care of himself, Hiroshi's dad senses something is off, hugs him tightly to reassure him, and says everything will be alright. On the way home, Kyoko and Miki are walking together when Kyoko sees Hiroshi and calls out to him. Miki tells her to stop since Hiroshi made a big scene at the match and was removed as a starting player. Still, Kyoko goes over and calls to him again, then suddenly sees something strange and terrifying on Hiroshi's body before it vanishes, leaving Kyoko in shock from the scary sight. The next day at school, Kyoko rushes anxiously to the teacher's room to talk to Nuino about Hiroshi, saying he's acting strangely and she's really worried. She tells him Hiroshi has no energy, gets angry suddenly, and never used to be like this. He usually acts blunt, but has a kind heart. Trying to reassure her, Nuino tells her not to worry, and that he'll talk to him. In the restroom, Hiroshi anxiously talks to himself, trying to control his anger and repeating that he doesn't want to get angry today. But suddenly, Nueno appears from behind him and gently asks Hiroshi if he's feeling any of his sudden anger fits. He shows him his crystal, assuring him that he is there to listen to anything he wants to say. This, however, makes Hiroshi even angrier about the supernatural things, and he shouts that he's tired of all of it. He violently throws the crystal at Nueno, causing him severe pain. Hiroshi sharply tells him not to come near him again and leaves angrily. In the classroom, Nueno asks the students if they have received their tablets and tells them he will teach them how to use them, but Hiroshi isn't paying attention. When Nueno approaches him to ask if he has any questions about his tablet, Hiroshi snarls fiercely, causing Nueno to back away cautiously. After that, Hiroshi picks up his device and starts to inspect it, but something strange and frightening appears in his eyes, making him drop the device immediately. This strange behavior draws attention to him, and Miki makes fun of him, which infuriates him even more. Kyoko tries to calm him down and puts her hand on him to help, but Hiroshi shoves her forcefully, causing Kyoko to hit the wall and her head to bleed. Nueno rushes to check on her while Hiroshi, full of regret, says to himself that he's done it again. At the hospital, Nueno and Hiroshi are waiting for news about Kyoko. Nueno tries to talk to Hiroshi, but Kyoko comes out and tells them she's okay. Hiroshi sincerely apologizes to her, but Kyoko sadly asks him how he could do that to a gentle lady like her. Hiroshi apologizes again, ashamed. After Nueno checks that Kyoko's wound is fine and she's okay, he surprises everyone by apologizing to Hiroshi, which startles Hiroshi. Nueno asks Kyoko if he can speak with Hiroshi alone for a moment. They head outside the hospital while Dr. Tamamo watches them with concern from a hospital window. Nueno and Hiroshi go to the nearby park. There, Nueno sees a child crying while his mother holds him helplessly. He approaches them and asks if he can check on the child. When he takes the child's hand, he casts a spell on him, causing darkness to fall over the area, and successfully pulls the anger worm from the child's hand. The child stops crying immediately, while both Kyoko, who was watching them, and Hiroshi are amazed by the incredible sight. Nueno approaches Hiroshi and shows him the worm. Hiroshi asks about it with a mix of curiosity and fear. Nueno tells him it's the temper tantrum worm, and that it doesn't do it on purpose, but if it gets a hold of him, he'll become quick-tempered for no reason. It usually sticks to children and causes no harm, but in rare cases, it turns into a monster, or a yokai, called the 99-legged insect. Nueno suspects this is the yokai that has taken hold of Hiroshi. Strange symptoms appear on Hiroshi, and Nueno asks him to let him examine him and expel this thing from his body. But Hiroshi remembers what happened to him in the past when a talisman was stuck on his face, so he grabs Nueno's hand to stop him. However, this causes the worm to transfer to Hiroshi's hand, surprising Nueno. But things get worse as Hiroshi transforms into a monster because he was being harassed by all these supernatural things. He lands a powerful blow on Nueno, sending him flying into a tree and causing him to bleed. Kyoko is horrified by the terrifying scene and calls out to Hiroshi, but he runs away quickly. As he flees, he remembers what happened in the past when his father took him to a spiritualist to try and save him, and also when he was at home and his father tried to stop him from breaking things, getting injured in the process. Hiroshi felt terrible for his father, but his father reassured him, hugged him, and told him it was okay, as long as Hiroshi was fine. When Hiroshi returns to the present, he feels extreme anger and unleashes his full power. Kyoko comes to check on him and is shocked when she sees Hiroshi's destructive power. Hiroshi fully transforms, becomes enraged, and flies high into the air. He violently tells Kyoko to leave him alone because she's bothering him, and he throws his power at her. Kyoko runs away immediately but doesn't get far, and Hiroshi manages to catch her her and throw her to the ground. He moves towards her with his full power, throws his power at her again, grabs her tightly, and succeeds in restraining her, telling her in a frightening voice that they must disappear from this world. But just in time, Nueno appears despite his injuries and throws a bunch of paper talismans at Hiroshi, successfully neutralizing his power, freeing Kyoko, and bringing him under control. Nueno approaches Hiroshi, who is extremely sad about what he's done, shouting that he doesn't want to hurt anyone and asking Nueno what happened to him. But Nueno continues chanting the spell until he gets close, hugs him, and reassures him that he will be okay. When he takes his hand, Hiroshi immediately remembers his father and desperately asks Nueno to help him right away. Nueno tells him not to worry and that he will save him now. He uses the power in his left hand, reveals his true power, and asks Hiroshi to trust him. He delivers a powerful blow to Hiroshi, which expels the angry worm from his body. Hiroshi sees Nueno in the form of a demon, leaving him amazed by the majestic sight. Nueno approaches the angry worm, not expecting it to be so huge. Nueno tells the worm to leave this place at once and stop hurting his students, but the worm attacks him. However, it changes its course and heads for Hiroshi. Nueno pushes Hiroshi out of the worm's path to prevent it from devouring him, but Nueno is devoured instead of Hiroshi. From inside the worm, Nueno uses his power and succeeds in wounding it, causing it to be completely destroyed in a spectacular explosion. Kyoko and Hiroshi approach, both astonished by what happened, as Nueno gets up from the rubble and asks, "Are you two okay?" Kyoko worriedly asks Nueno if he's alright. Hiroshi sincerely apologizes to Nueno, but Nueno says it's only natural for him to help his students with their problems, especially him, because he is one of his dear students. Hiroshi is scared when he sees Nueno's hand, but Nueno gently tells him not to worry about his hand and that it's not dangerous. At that moment, Kyoko confirms to him that Nueno is really an exorcist, just as he had told them before. Hiroshi apologizes to Nueno again, making Nueno overjoyed. Suddenly, Dr. Tomato rushes toward them and delivers a powerful surprise blow to Nueno, sending him flying. He then grabs Hiroshi by the throat, holding him tightly, and tells him in an evil voice that he has been waiting for him for a long time. Kyoko asks the doctor in shock what he's doing, but the doctor thinks she's Hiroshi's friend and tells her in a threatening tone that he doesn't want anyone but Hiroshi today. When she tries to approach him to stop him, he throws her in the same direction as Nueno. Nueno quickly catches her so she doesn't fall to the ground and get hurt. When she lies safely on the ground, Kyoko tells Nueno worriedly that Hiroshi is in big trouble. Nueno immediately realizes that this person carries that ominous, otherworldly aura, and that he's not an ordinary human. Here, Tamato casts a powerful spell through his special staff, and when Nueno and Kyoko come looking for them, they find neither of them. Kyoko asks in panic where they went, but Nueno uses his crystal to search for them, and believes it's a strong otherworldly aura, causing Nueno to feel severe pain in his hand. He asks Kyoko not to worry, explaining that there's a demon living in this hand ever since he exorcised a student and sealed the demon in it. This hand is powerful because it's the demon's weapon, and demons unconsciously fight spirits, demons, and yokai too. He wears the glove to hide it and tells her that what's most important to him now is catching up with Hiroshi. He asks her to go home alone, but Kyoko insists on joining him to help. Nueno firmly refuses this because the aura he felt is very strong and it's dangerous for her to be with him, which finally convinces Kyoko. Elsewhere, Tomato was carrying Hiroshi and telling him that his plan would have failed because of the unexpected intruder. He throws Hiroshi from above, then jumps after him and saves him before he hits the ground and dies, causing people in the street to be frightened by this terrifying scene. He sees that Hiroshi no longer feels angry and it's clear to him that he has been completely purified of the worm. He looks up and sees his own sign, then begins to move. But Nueno comes to them, so Tomato sees that Nueno never gives up. Nueno casts a soul-binding spell on Tomato, but Tomato successfully counters it skillfully. Tomato uses his own spell, causing several copies of himself to appear in the place. After that, Tomato throws a small stone that turns into a fierce wolf to attack Nueno, but Nueno delivers a powerful blow to push it away from him. Tomato moves and jumps from the top of the bridge. When Nueno looks at them, he finds Hiroshi lying on the ground and sees a huge tiger on its way to attack Hiroshi, so Nueno jumps to save Hiroshi. But suddenly the tiger turns into a motorcycle rider, and all of this is Nueno's imagination, and Hiroshi is also a small cat, which amazes Hiroshi. Nueno starts imagining many things, and realizes that a powerful illusion jutsu spell has been cast on him. Meanwhile, Tomato and Hiroshi were in a dark, scary passage, where Tamato casts a spell on Hiroshi to stop him from moving and screaming so he can execute his perfect evil plan, then begins to move. Nuino continues searching for Tamato's original copy until he points the crystal at the building where Tamato was, causing all the similar copies of Tamato to disappear. But Nuino thinks he lost their trail, and when he sees Tamato's symbol in the crystal, he puts the crystal in his bag and shows his phone to open the map app, but it won't open for him, which annoys him greatly. Here, Kyoko comes to him and takes the phone from him to activate the app for him, which surprises him because he asked her to stay away because it's dangerous for her, but she came anyway. She activates the app and gives him the phone, telling him she's useful to him now, and asks if he knows where Hiroshi is now. He doesn't know yet, but he has a thread to reach them, which is the 7 northern stars. He tells her the names of the 7 stars that exist in the sky and begins connecting things together using his crystal, explaining that Tamato left all this behind and that he planned to leave the 7 stars throughout the city. It's clear that he's planning something to perform a certain ritual based on each letter with an otherworldly aura. Kyoko believes that Hiroshi will be the victim, and that they must hurry to save him, but Nuino sees that they have more time because there's a strict order for spiritual rituals. He explains that if he follows the letters of the 7 stars in order, it will match the final location called Hagon location, which is the last location. Kyoko knew about it and tells him it's an amusement park still under construction. She asks if he wants her to guide him to it, so he says of course he wants that. Meanwhile, Tamato was at his final point, believing that his perfect plan would end like this, but he watches Nuino heading toward him, which annoys him, deciding that he'll deal with him now because there isn't much time. Nuino stops and begins searching for them, and when he sees Hiroshi hanging in the big clock about to be cut by the clock hands, Nuino moves quickly to save him. When he goes to him and grabs his foot, but time passes and Hiroshi's head gets cut off by the clock hands, which greatly surprises Nuino. But then he discovers it's an illusion for him like before, and that Tamato is playing with his mind, exploiting his concern for Hiroshi. Then Tamato throws his spear at Nuino and manages to hit him precisely, causing Nuino to fall to the ground forcefully. Tamato approaches him confidently and scornfully tells him that he didn't exert any effort to finish him off. Despite his injury, Nuino tries to grab Tamato so he doesn't leave, but Tamato strikes him to violently push him away. He looks at the sky and believes this night is suitable for performing human embodiment. He climbs to a high point and tells Hiroshi in an evil voice that he needs his skull to transform into a human so he can live among them, and that he first saw him 3 months ago and felt happy about it because he could finally start his rituals. He reveals he went to the hospital because he saw it as the easiest way to find a skull there, so he became a doctor, but he didn't easily find anything good there. He recalls his past when Hiroshi bumped into him one day while rushing, and he saw that he was the right person. From then on, he started carefully observing him until he confirmed that his skull suited him very well. He explains to him that human embodiment requires a human skull, but if any anger remains in the skull, it will act as noise and hinder the rituals. So he put his otherworldly aura into a rage-fit insect and threw it at him to erase all his anger, and started observing its progress on him and seeing its symptoms too. He returns to the present and tells him that everything went better than he expected because he now has a new skull in his hands, causing Hiroshi to get angry from this terrifying revelation and tell himself that it was all his fault. Tamato explains that he searched a lot among humans but didn't find anyone suitable and that they are drowned in their selfishness. But still, he's not much better than them. For human embodiment, he wants a skull that suits him well, otherwise he won't be able to become a perfect yokai. After that, he strikes himself and pulls his skull from his head, then transforms into a huge and terrifying wolf, which scares Hiroshi a lot. Tamato throws his skull away and casts his spell through his spear. He utters the names of the 7 stars until the stars start shining everywhere in the city, which amazes some students at this supernatural sight. The equipment in the park starts working on its own while Kyoko was looking for Nuino in the area. Tamato tells Hiroshi that when he removes his skull, the human embodiment process will be complete, but Nuino appears and tells him to stop. Hiroshi runs towards Nuino, and Tamato sees that humans are never agile. He throws a magic stone from his collection that makes them imagine a train coming towards them. Hiroshi feels scared and slows down, but Nuino tells him to speed up and not slow down. Hiroshi approaches Nuino and hugs him, but Nuino gets hit by the stone in his back and feels severe pain. Hiroshi starts crying to Nuino because he felt scared, but Nuino tells him not to worry and that he will protect him because he's his dear student. Tamado tells them he will get rid of him to complete the human embodiment rituals. Nuino asks Hiroshi to move away, then approaches Tamato and casts his spell, causing the demon spirit inside inside him to appear. Tamato is surprised by Nuinu's power and wonders about this terrifying strength. Tamato threatens him, saying he won't be gentle with him now, and throws 3 stones, which causes copies of his wolf form to appear and attack Nuinu. Nuinu also attacks them but takes a hit from one of the wolves that pushes him away, and he almost falls but holds on well. The wolf copies attack him, and he manages to defeat them and starts looking for the original Tamato, until a train heading towards him appears again, and he thinks it's an illusion too. But Tamato appears and stabs him with the spear, carries him by the spear, runs quickly with him, and throws him inside a huge building. Hiroshi believes that at this rate, Nuinu will be defeated. Inside the building, Nuinu and Tamato face each other, but Tamato uses the power of the copies again and attacks Nuinu with them. Nuinu manages to defeat them but fails to defeat the original Tamato. Tamato thinks it's over for them, but Nuinu gets angry and tells him he's a classroom teacher and won't let him lay a hand on his students, and pushes him back forcefully. Meanwhile, Hiroshi tries to open the door of a large display case but can't, until Kyoko comes to him and tells him to move away and smashes the glass of the large display case. Tamato manages to throw Nuinu from the top of the building and thinks Nuinu is interesting but made Hiroshi wait. He uses the cloning stones again, and they attack him, but Nuinu prepares for them well and meets them with a powerful blow that manages to hit the original Tamato. Tamato is surprised by this and asks Nuinu about his condition, so Nuinu tells him his name so he remembers, and that he's their class teacher. At this crucial moment, Hiroshi and Kyoko arrive and use the large display case, successfully attracting Tamato's spear to them magnetically, which makes Tamato disappear, but before he disappears, he tells them they'll meet again. Nuinu feels very exhausted, and his students approach him to check on him. He tells them he saved them because of the chance they created for him with their intelligence and courage. The lights of the 7 stars disappear, and some beautiful small lights rain down on the city, which also amazes the students with this enchanting sight. Later, with Nuinu and his students, Hiroshi didn't think spirits or things like yokai even existed. Kyoko tells Hiroshi that Nuinu is real, just as she told him before, but Nuinu sees that it's hard to believe in things we haven't seen yet, but they have lived alongside humans for a long time and are like mirrors that reflect human hearts, and they can't be classified as good or evil. The important thing isn't defeating them, but how to establish a relationship with them. Kyoko thinks Hiroshi didn't understand this, but he somewhat understood this deep wisdom. The next day, Nuinu and Hiroshi go to apologize to Hiroshi's soccer coach, and he starts playing with his team happily again. At the hospital, Hiroshi's father gets out safely, and Nuinu and Kyoko were happily waiting for him. Finally, at school, Nuinu watches students run away in fear when they see him, so he sadly approaches the principal's picture and asks Hiroshi not to scare the students anymore. We moved to the school courtyard, where some students were playing, and the janitor was watching them all. The janitor kept an eye on the students, and when they looked at him, they felt a strong wind blowing toward them, which scared them, and they ran away. After that, we went to Noino, who was heading to his class and saw the teacher Ritsuko, whom he admired. She was joking with Kyoko and Miki. Noino quickly approached her and told her there was something on her back. When she asked what it was, he said it was a spirit, which scared Ritsuko. She asked him not to joke like that because she was afraid of such things. He apologized and said he would take it back, but she was shocked. He touched her and screamed, attracting other students. Ritsuko went to her room, and Noino felt very sad. Then the students approached Noino, and Hiroshi told him not to talk to her about scary stuff. Miki came to Noino and told him about a rumor about a midnight honor student who does strange things like replacing flowers, cleaning the rabbit cage, and wiping chalkboards. He cleans throughout the night in the dark school, and no one knows who he is. She asked Noino if he thought this was scary. Makoto thought it might be a ghost, but Katsuya didn't believe in ghosts and said they weren't real. Kyoko wondered if it really was a ghost. They should check it out. Hiroshi asked Noino's opinion too, but Noino said he shouldn't believe such rumors, told Hiroshi not to take it seriously, and asked them to go back to their classes, then left. Night came, and the students went back to the school to look for the janitor. Makoto was very scared, but Hiroshi was excited. Katsuya was happy to see Hiroshi acting like himself again because he was worried about him. Miki wondered if there really was a ghost and asked if it was possible to befriend it. Kyoko told them to be quiet because she heard a strange noise and told them it came from the classroom. When they opened the door, they saw the janitor, and Hiroshi confirmed he was real. Then Noino came and grabbed Hiroshi, which scared him. Hiroshi asked Noino not to scare him. Noino asked why they were there at that time. Hiroshi explained they were not doing anything wrong and came to see the midnight janitor. Noino told them to stay outside and approached the janitor, saying he already knew about this. He asked his students to keep quiet. Then the students stepped forward one by one, surprising Hiroshi. The next day, with the lights on, Noino started explaining his subjects. While the students listened, the honor student Miki asked him something she didn't know, which scared her and made her hesitate. Noino immediately stepped in and asked if he wanted help, help, saying he would assist with anything. The student said he was very kind and liked him a lot. Miki was more surprised when she saw Noino hadn't written anything in his book. He had just made plans. But Noino told him he was going to teach him the alphabet, which scared the other students. Time passed, and darkness settled in. Noino told them to start the party. Hiroshi asked, "The party is the exorcism, right?" Kyoko was excited to do it too. Noino turned off the lights, showed a wooden box, and said it was made of flowers. He revealed a Japanese doll inside, and told them these spirits tend to find homes in human-shaped objects, even silent dolls. The janitor student asked Noino if he thought the doll had a spirit. Hiroshi said he was sure, and Kyoko said the doll had feelings. Noino said spirits live inside things used for a long time, especially this doll. Noino cast his own spell on the doll, and showed its spirit to the students, who were amazed. He explained that when objects like doll spirits turn into haunted things, they're called tsukumogami. Over time and years, they become like people, and begin to have thoughts and feelings. This amazed the janitor student and everyone else. Hiroshi said it wasn't their first time seeing a doll spirit. Miki said she met one before and asked if he remembered. Kyoko thought there might be another doll spirit in that room. The janitor student asked where it was and said he thought the only spirit was his doll statue. Noino approached him and said the second spirit had been kept for a long time, used for a long time until it now had a spirit. Not only that, but it forgot it was also a doll and believed it was a student here. This shocked the janitor student and scared the others. The janitor student asked, "Am I that doll?" He revealed his true form, and Kyoko thought the student was shocked. The janitor student asked Noino what he meant. Noino said it was really him. Then he remembered when Noino first told him, and it was in a cover opened by Ritsuko, who got really scared then. He said he was in a deep sleep at the back of the science lab and was taken out by janitors. But Noino was worried then about him coming out, expecting that when he watched the kids, his repressed feelings started surfacing. Walking through the hallways at night, cleaning the school while imitating the children, he was seen by others and became known as the famous Midnight Student. When Noino met him, he didn't want to recklessly expel a good spirit, so the next day, he talked with the kids and told them to treat the spirit normally as if it were human. But he also wanted her to realize she was a doll spirit without frightening her. Kyoko suggested they might treat her like a real honor student and place her in a classroom. Noino would explain lessons about doll spirits and gently help her understand who she really was. They would trick her. The other students got excited about the idea except Makoto, who was scared, but Hiroshi thought since Noino was there, everything would be fine. Noino began to think it over, but Miki begged him until he agreed, making them all happy. Then he returned to his seat. He told him that he understood now, and that he was a spirit who had escaped from this human model. But the student denied this, and told them that he was a human and not a human model. But Nueno didn't believe him, and approached him to stop his heart so that he would return to the model. But the student pushed Nueno's hand away and ran away too. Then he moved to one of the mirrors and saw himself in it, and he felt a great shock from his appearance and realized that he was not human and that he was just a doll in the shape of a human with a soul. Then he fell to the ground, and Nueno and the students were watching him and felt sadness through him. Nueno saw that this was making things harder. Then Hiroshi plucked up his courage and went to him and told him not to be depressed, and asked him to go and play with him and that they were friends for a day. He asked his friends about this, and they all agreed. The student thanked them and asked them what game they would play. Hiroshi told him the crown game and that he would be the winner. The student remembered when he used to watch the students in the courtyard playing it and asked them if they were friends now. He broke the mirror, but Nueno immediately approached him and asked him to calm down and that they had to clean this up, and asked them to leave because this was dangerous for them. When the students left the bathroom, Nueno told him that if he continued to destroy the furniture, he would bear full responsibility. He went into the cleaning supplies room to get a cleaning tool, but when he went in, he couldn't get out because the door was locked from the outside. The student went out to Hiroshi and his friends, and Hiroshi thought that Nueno was late because he was cleaning the place. Then the doll student came out to them and told them that since they were friends, they should be alike, and that he would tear off their skin to look like him. Then he showed a piece of the glass he had broken, and showed the other half of it, and started counting down to turn them into him, which made them very afraid of him. When the doll finished counting, the students ran away from him immediately because he wanted them all to be alike. But Hiroshi said that at this rate they would be killed, so they had to hide. Then the doll jumped high and threw a blow, but it didn't hit anyone, but cut the bulletin board that calls for cleanliness in half. The students ran away again, taking advantage of the glass stuck in the wall. Then the students split into two groups. The first group was hiding behind the trees, very scared, until the doll came to them and called them and asked them to show themselves so they could be alike. He almost found them until he heard the sound of a door closing, and his attention was diverted. Then we moved to the other team, and they thought they were safe until he came to them from the outside and started knocking on the door. But Hiroshi reassured Kyoko that he had locked the door well, but they did not expect the doll to come to them from the window, which surprised them. After that, The doll broke the glass and then entered them and told them that cleaning was fun, but playing with them was more fun, but they hid from him so that he would not see them. Then he started searching for them in the place, but he succeeded in finding them and told them that they would now be similar friends. He was about to stab them, but Nueno intervened in time and saved them, which made Hiroshi and Kyoko happy. Nueno apologized to them for being late for them and told the doll that he was too immersed to the point that he went into a frenzy and asked him, "Didn't you get enough fun?" He turned the doll back into a spirit and asked him to return to his ship. Then they moved to the classroom, and the spirit said to Nueno that he wanted to be human, but Nueno refused this because he couldn't. Then Nueno left the spirit and cast his spell, and his hands turned into demon hands, which amazed the others because it was the first time for them. Hiroshi and Kyoko were excited because they had seen it before. Then Nueno prepared to seal the human model and struck him until he succeeded in expelling the spirit and told them that since they were presenting this holy book that seals the spirit, it would be completed in one night. But Miki felt bad and Kyoko wanted the spirit to become human. But Nueno saw that this was what should be done and that the doll should not become human. But Miki felt hungry and asked Nueno to order them dinner. They left the classroom to get food, and the doll was left alone, but the spirit appeared again. The next day, Nueno was with the principal, and the principal asked him for compensation for what had been damaged, and told him that he could not find the human model anywhere. But Nueno was sure that he had left him in this place yesterday, but the principal did not believe him, and told him that the bulletin board, the bathroom mirror, and the storage window had been destroyed, and told him that he would send him a bill for all of this. But Nueno approached the principal and told him that the human model had done this, but the principal did not believe him and asked him to pay him next month, which made Nueno cry a lot. Then Nueno moved with his students and was very sad. Miki thought that Nueno would buy them ramen, but Nueno would lose all his money in the hell of compensation. But Hiroshi told him that he had made a promise to them and that this day was the perfect opportunity because he did not have football training. Then Katusia asked about the departure of the human model. Kyoko thought that she had moved again. Hiroshi asked, "Is it possible for the model to move without a spirit?" Then the doll appeared to them and told them that he had become human after all. Nueno was about to approach him, but he stopped him and told him that he had come to them to say hello. Then he revealed himself and told him that he had not put on the skin yet, which made them feel scared. After that, the doll ran away, and Nueno asked him to wait until a car passed between them and the doll disappeared after that, which amazed everyone. Nueno thought that since the doll had become human, then half of Yuka must be affected by the spiritual magnetic field and may attend any other school.